Greetings, Earthlings, and Happy New Year! Welcome to a brand new year, new decade, and new season of Urban Nerd Weekly. Thanks for joining us. Today is Wednesday, January the 1st, 2020. And on today's Nerd News Update, we're gonna be talking about what happened with Juice WRLD and Tekashi 6ix9ine. With all these new rules and regulations, the internet and social media as we know it is about to be history. Redbox is no longer renting video games. India confirms plans for a second lunar lander mission, and Platoon creator Junior Inui launches a new manga this spring. Get all that news plus so much more. So tune in, nerd out on today's brand new Urban Nerd Weekly.
Available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play Music. My
It's your boy Space once again. Welcome back to a brand new season of Urban Nerd Weekly. So glad you guys decided to tune in and nerd out with me today, you guys, man. I'm so excited about the new year. Like, you know, I got a lot of things accomplished last year, and I really want to like double that momentum this year in all aspects of life. And you know, I'm just in a really positive mood right now. I don't know what it is, but it's just I'm like it's hump day. I'm ready. That is so last decade now. But yeah, so glad you guys came and came tuned into the show, man. Like I said twice already by now. I'm that excited, like I'm saying shit 2 and 3 times. But yeah, like it's New Year 2020. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in what people used to consider the fucking space age future. And we're pretty far along. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not excited. I'm not happy about the fact that we don't have the flying cars yet and shit like that. And, I mean, it's coming, but we don't fucking have them yet. Like, I honestly thought that by the time I was, like, getting ready to turn 30, like, flying cars would just be some regular ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Like on some old Back to the Future, everybody got hoverboards and shit. And you know, we had the hoverboards. But first of all, let me explain how them bitches never hovered. And second of all, them bitches blew up from what I heard half the time. Like, wasn't that the problem? Ain't that why everybody stopped getting them shits? Because they was like catching on fire on the charger or some shit like that, or it's overheating. I remember it was bad because I remember everybody had them shits and then fucking nobody had them shits. Right? Like, am I the only one that remembers? Anyway, onward. Just gotta remind you guys that if you're a first-time listener to the show, make sure you guys subscribe on your preferred platform. The podcast is available everywhere, that being Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Outcast, Shoutbox, Podbean. Pretty much anywhere you would look for a podcast, it's there, except for Spotify. I know I said that we were going to be on Spotify by the beginning of this season. However, my motherfucking rent is also due at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, we're going to take a little extra second longer to get on Spotify. But yeah, make sure if you guys are on Spotify, trust me, I got your back. I'm coming to Spotify real soon. Just try to fuck with me on SoundCloud for now. And then as soon as I'm up on Spotify, I will let you guys know. But yeah, that's what, make sure you, like, rate, and, you know what I'm saying, comment, leave little messages and shit, you know, up under the show so we can get a little boost in our popularity so we can help spread the word about our little culture we got bubbling over here. You can find me on the big 3 of social media, that being Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All at Space Was Here. That's SPAYCEWUZHERE. And you guys can find Nano Kitty Cat as well on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook at Nano Kitty Cat. Now on Twitter and Facebook is one word, Nano Kitty Cat. And on Instagram is nano_kitty_cat. So make sure you guys show some love to her as well. And wish her a happy new year. She wasn't able to make this episode, but I'm going to make sure I hold her down strong for the both of us. You guys make sure you guys let her know how happy you are to hear her on the next episode. we're going to go get right on into today's digital download. Looks like there's nothing in the video game section this week. I guess top of the year, first of the year, you know what I'm saying? No, it doesn't, like when I did my research for the show, it doesn't look like we're going to have any drops for the video games until like the middle of the month. So like maybe like 2 episodes from now, I'll probably have like a huge ass list of video games for the digital download. But for today, there are none. Movies coming out today, actually. The Grudge remake. Y'all, I'm pretty sure you guys seen The Grudge back in the day like I did. They're and the one we saw was a remake from the Japanese version. Well, they're coming out with another newer version again. So, yeah. Check that shit out if you want. In the music section, we got Chief Keef with Mansion Music 2. And that's actually all we got. It's kind of a skip sack for the digital download today. In the book section, which is our new addition to the digital download. We have a book section in the digital download now. I've been wanting to implement this for a minute. It was really inspired by Nano Kitty Cat, who actually is a fellow writer, much like myself. And you know what I'm saying, we thought it'd be a great idea to have books as a part of the digital download. And all the books that we name can be obtained from Goodreads, Amazon, and Book Depository. So actually the book section is like the biggest section on today's digital download. We got Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. We got Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi, sorry. We got Lady Hotspur by Tess Grattan. And we got Oasis by Katja de Beccari. Bacera, sorry. Katja de Bacera. And that is all for today's digital download. Now, before we move on to our next segment, I'd like to give you guys a little bit of a reminder about my other content I got floating out around on these internets. I'd like you guys to check out my newest YouTube vlog called Adulting Sucks. It's a video talking about like how much it sucks dick being a grown up. We already know this. It's just me bitching about the things that it's not that it sucks that much, cause it does, but the video is more so about the fact that, you know, we don't know it's gonna be like that, so we're all in a rush to be grown ups and shit, and then we become grown ups, and it's a trick. So yeah, go check out the video. And if you're following me on Instagram, you can actually check it out on my Instagram feed as well. I got it up on there. Make sure you guys check out my latest comedy song, the You Name It Space Mix remix to green bean, tomato, yam, hog, mog, you name it. You can check out all my comedy songs on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Space Was Here. Space Was Here, that's my thing. So yeah, you guys could definitely check that out on there, and make sure you leave a comment, tell me what you guys think. Nano Kitty Cat got her story time series coming up, and we just gonna make sure we remind you guys about that getting ready to come out. So as soon as she drops the first story, you guys will be the first to know. And now we're gonna move on to our nerd news update for the week. So on this week's nerd news update, we're gonna start off on some stuff that kind of ended. Like that, these are some of the events that ended off 2019, like ended off last year or whatever. But, as you know, the show's season ended, like it's kind of like the middle of the month and shit. So, like there was like a whole couple of weeks worth of stuff that I didn't get to cover because, the show was on hiatus. And then I did the Christmas holiday episode or whatever. And I really only talked about Eddie Murphy being on Saturday Night Live, which was fucking epic. That's fucking returned after all these years, after being one of their biggest fucking, cast members, you know what I mean? So it was awesome. However, also in that amount of time, I don't remember talking about this on the show before. So if I haven't, just for sake of saying rest in peace, my man Juice World, he had a seizure. Coming out of the airplane at the airport. He had a seizure, not coming out of the airplane. He had a seizure at the actual airport, in the airport. And, it was a really, really sad ordeal. He died before getting to the hospital. And it was really sad. And then in the following days, it was revealed that the rapper was seen swallowing over 70 pills right beforehand. And, a couple days later, we found out Juice WRLD had been under the Fed's microscope. They'd been watching him, and they found like tons of weed and drugs on the plane. Like, I mean, when I say tons, I mean like bricks, like 70 fucking pounds of shit. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, a lot of shit. I guess one's best guess would be that he tried to consume as many drugs as he had on his person to get rid of the evidence. However, obviously that backfired and it caused an accidental suicide. So, rest in peace to an actually decent musician, Juice WRLD. Rest in peace. Tekashi 6ix9ine back on everyone's radar again. He's been, everybody's been talking lately about him being, the trial that he was a part of has finally come to an end. So the conclusion is that after doing all the talking he did, he got his sentence reduced greatly. However, the judge did take time out to go and investigate Tekashi 6ix9ine as a rapper. She looked at all of his music. She listened to his music. She watched the music videos. She watched him as he trolled the internet. Him instigating situations with fellow rappers and other, members of society and shit, and his rap sheet as a whole, and decided, because one of the biggest things was he was going, a lot of people thought he would be getting out like December, November, like of last year already, because he's been in jail for a year already. So a lot of people thought that because of time served, he'd get out then, and what ended up happening was the judge gave him 2 years based off the fact that as much as he did help in the case, you're not gonna play she in her own words, I guess, or on I guess based off of her sentiments during the case, her attitude was much to the effect of, you're not going to fool me with this whole bullshit routine of the gang used you and, saying that you were vulnerable and all that bullshit. They're not buying that at all. As far as they're concerned, saying you were a grown-ass man, you make grown-man decisions, and you got yourself into a situation where you better fucking thank God that the feds were watching the motherfuckers, or you probably would have ended up being a fucking dead man. You know what I mean? Like, if this was the 90s and the feds had to go through a whole bunch more red tape and bullshit to watch you a lot and shit like that, we've been hearing about Tekashi being on a slab too. You know what I mean? Like, it would have just been some shit like years later we would have found out he was, in some fucking real gang and shit, and then they fucking knocked him off and this, that, and the third. It would have been just some shit that kids fucking 10 years from now would have been like talking about when they became teenagers and like stumbled upon his music and shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, so all in all, he got 2 years, and so even with time served, he's still not getting out till like Christmas time of this year, 2020. So that's pretty much the word on Tekashi 6ix9ine. It went from everyone thinking he was gonna get out in a day, and then they thought he was gonna get out January, like this month, and it turns out he will be getting out at the tail end of this year. On to other nerd news. Redbox will no longer be renting video games. And here's the deets on that shit. Redbox announced, this was actually an announcement. I thought this was some shit that people just fucking started talking about. Redbox has now announced that it no longer plans to offer video game rentals at its kiosk, as it will be shifting its focus solely to movie rentals in 2020. According to TheVerge.com, the company's trademark rental kiosks have been a handy way to rent physical copies of movies, if you still have a disc drive to play them in, that is. And they have been one of the fuck y'all. I'm totally one of those motherfuckers. I'm CDs to the death, bro. Like, please don't tell me it's gonna be a future where that's no longer an option. You better go fuck yourself in the face. And you've been one of the few remaining places to rent physical copies of video games, but if you relied on Redbox kiosks as your place to rent or even buy new PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch titles, you won't be able to anymore. In a statement, Redbox says it is permanently transitioning out of video game business to focus exclusively on movies, which is what they did start off as at first, so it's not like, a huge shocker, but I mean, when I had the recreational income, that was a nice little spot, especially, it was convenient, you hit Walmart and right on the way out, you get your video game, and worst case scenario, you forget to bring it back, and they charge you full price for the motherfucker for something that took you like a couple of seconds. Because if you had bought that same game inside, it would have cost more. You would have had to go through the fucking cash register and wait in that line for a fucking video game because you bought it at a place that also sells tater chips, sandwiches, chicken, and fucking kids' clothes. So, we get what we pay for. And you could have bought video games all the way up until yesterday. Some Reddit users first noticed yesterday that Redbox rental kiosks were no longer offering video games rentals, and the company confirmed on Twitter that the game rentals are no longer available. In this tweet, Redbox said that you could still buy video games until early next year. But the company clarified to The Verge in its statement that you will only be able to buy games from a Redbox kiosk through the end of the year. The change is disappointing for gamers who relied on Redbox as a convenient way to rent video games. With Redbox no longer offering rentals and the death of rental stores like Blockbuster, there's only one left in the world. And fucking Redbox and Redbox and Netflix fucking gang bang Blockbuster out of existence. That's what the fuck happened. There just aren't many local places to casually browse and rent a video game anymore. One rental option is to subscribe to a mail rental service like GameFly, which is fucking the Netflix of video games. Like, GameFly came out the same time Netflix did, and they was doing the same shit. They would mail you the disc for you to try out, play, do whatever. You could burn that shit, whatever the fuck you want to do. Just send that back, and we see you another video game. That's the same shit Netflix used to do before the streaming shit started becoming its main thing. Like, back then, most people just like got it in the mail, and then the streaming thing was just kind of like an option for like some movies that they had already online, you know what I mean? And then the next thing you know, the streaming became like the biggest part of Netflix. Like, it's a whole generation of people that don't even know that Netflix used to be like a mail thing. But those typically come with a monthly cost and may not sell you the exact game you want right where you want it. If you do have a Redbox near you that offered games, you might be able to get a good deal on some games before they disappear from the kiosk forever at the end of the year, which that was, once again, yesterday. For example, Redbox tells us that it will offer Death Stranding and Jedi Fallen Order for $39.99. And, that's basically, fucking come get this shit before they hear no more type sale type shit. You feel what I'm saying? So, I definitely, Redbox is the shit, bro. It's just one of those things that's always really convenient, like when you leaving Walmart or Walgreens or some shit like that. And yeah, like, I guess maybe the sales just aren't there for the video games because, as you guys noticed from the digital download, well, not today's, but most of the time on the digital download, when I give you the video game, I tell you what platform it's available in, and over the last like two seasons, we've definitely noticed you start seeing shit like Stadia and Rift. When I say that, those are the streaming services for video games. Now that we've read that article together and talked about that shit, I want to bring about the fact that if GameFly wants to get their shit together and finish being the Netflix of video games, they need to go ahead and do, the streaming shit with the video games. If that's what the shit is coming to. Because my thing is, first of all, is a thing when because Stadia is Google. Google Stadia is the full name of Stadia, right? So if Google's getting in the game, it's some fucking money in this shit. First of all. Second of all, GameFly is actually a pretty good service from the people that I know use GameFly, and it operates a lot like the old Netflix used to. So if they want to stay ahead of the curve, I don't give a fuck what y'all got to do. Like, I know that y'all don't know me from a can of paint, but if you hear this episode, anybody that works at GameFly, if you hear this fucking episode, take heed to my motherfucking warning, people. Like, if I got a Gary Vaynerchuk that shit, get the fuck up and become the Netflix of video games, bitch. Did he say bitch? I don't think Gary V says bitch. I hear him say fuck, but I don't hear him say bitch a lot. I'm gonna work on that. Anyway, so yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole Redbox thing, and subsequently I just kind of threw GameFly into today's Nerd News Update just because they need to, I want to see them win. They've been here the longest. They earned that shit. So yeah, on to the next story for the day. According to SpaceNews.com, India confirms plans for a second lunar lander mission. From Washington, the head of India's space agency confirmed on January 1st, today, that it will attempt a second lunar landing, making that mission one of the top priorities of India's space program. At a New Year's Day press briefing, Kailasav Sivan, the chairman of the... Fuck me, that name. Not insulting the name. It's just for someone from the southern region of America. That is a very difficult name to pronounce. Shiat. So we're going to call him Mr. Sivan, chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, or the ISRO, said that the Chandrayaan-3 lunar lander mission, along with the Gaganyaan human spaceflight program, will be top priorities for ISRO in 2020, although neither may fly until 2021. This year is going to be the year of the Chandrayaan-3 and the Gundam style. Gundam. Okay. Sivan used the briefing to formally announce the start of the mission, which will be India's second attempt to land on the moon after the failure of the Vikram lander, part of the Chandrayaan-2 mission in September. Indian officials had in recent weeks made it clear a new lunar lander mission was in the works, but prior to the briefing, there was no official confirmation for those plans. One major announcement I wanted to make here officially is the Chandrayaan-3 is government approved. He said the project is now formed. The activities for the mission are going very smoothly. Unlike the two, which included an orbiter and a lander, the latter carrying a rover, the three will only have a lander and a rover, along with the propulsion module to transport the spacecraft to the moon. The two's orbiter, Sivan said, is functioning well and could last as long as 7 years, so there's no need for a new orbiter. That will also reduce the cost of the mission. Sivan estimated that the three will cost 6.15 billion rupees, which is about $886.4 million, compared to 9.7 billion rupees, which they didn't provide a what's that shit called? A conversion. So I don't fucking know, but I'm sure it's a lot less than $86.4 million. Both estimates include the cost of the spacecraft and its launch at a geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle. Sivan provided few new details about what caused the crash of the Vikram lander in September. In November, Jitendra Singh, Minister of State for the Department of Science, informed that the Indian Parliament that the spacecraft had hard landed when it slowed down more than expected during the second phase of its descent. NASA released images of the crash site December 2nd. Oh, that sounds just so petty. Taken by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter spacecraft. At the briefing, Sivan reiterated that it was the second phase of the landing that caused problems. The first phase went very well. In the second phase, the velocity reduction was more than expected, he said, which later phases of the landing could not be compensated for. The control and guidance system was not designed for this large deviation. Other ISRO officials at the briefing said that a report investigating the failure had been submitted to the government, but that report or a summary of it has yet to be made public. So yeah, India is apparently on top of they back on their bullshit when it comes to exploring the moon and shit. So you know what I'm saying? We definitely gonna be having a lot more space news on the episodes of the installments of the Nerd News updates as they come. You know, I'm trying to get the Nerd News update a little bit more well balanced back to my original pillars of what I wanted the news to be about. So I just want to make sure, you know, shit like that, you know, gets re-injected into the show. For all the people that used to like the Nerd Money segment of the show, that's going to be coming up real soon. We're going to have, like, every couple of episodes, we're going to do Nerd Money again. So make sure you guys keep tuning in for that. According to Anime News Network, in our next piece of Nerd News update, Platoon creator Junior Inui launches a new manga this spring. Ooh. What was it? That little feedback sound. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, manga creator Junior Inui posted on Twitter on Wednesday that they would launch a new manga tentatively titled Kaiju Jaitai, Monster Self-Defense Force this spring. Studio Hisakuda is also credited as working on the new manga. Inui posted an image from the manga on Wednesday to her Twitter account. Inui launched the Platoon manga in Shinkasha's Weekly Comic Bunch magazine in 2009 and then transferred it to a monthly comic bunch in 2011. The manga ended its serialization in monthly comic at Bunch in March of 2018, and a different ending ran in Shinkasha's B Bunch magazine later that year. The two versions of the manga's 26th and final volume shipped on July 2018. I said July the 2018. Is that how we doing shit now? A 12 anime, Yen Press is publishing the manga in English. Oh, cool. So we should get that real soon. 12 episode anime adaptation of the series aired in 2012. Crunchyroll streamed the anime as it aired, and Sentai Filmworks released the series on Blu-ray disc and DVD in 2013. The manga also inspired a multiplayer smartphone game from developer Asibimo. Central Park Media published Inui Otijiwi Matsuri manga in English. And so the reason I brought that up is because some of my friends actually like Platoon, and they said that this is some good shit, and I'm trying to get back into Japanese anime and shit like that, because I kind of once I started getting back on my comic book game and shit, I didn't really catch that whole wave of everybody getting on the mangas and shit like that, or the new Japanese anime. A lot of people keep telling me to watch this show called Baki, and then there's 3 shows my nephew's trying to get me to watch, and I'm like, bruh, I've been a nerd my whole life, but now it's so much being a nerd is so fucking cool now. They're making all this nerd shit all the time, and that shit's just the fucking trendy pop shit now. It's impossible to keep up. And then I'm getting ready to turn 30, so I'm feeling like old man nerd in comparison to all these young kids that fucking watching 30 shows every day, and they got fucking all the plot lines well organized in their minds. This shit isn't confusing at all for them. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? How did you just watch the first episode of 6 shows, and all I did was go to the bathroom? What the fuck happened that fast? I gotta get back on top of my shit, man. But yeah, so that's that shit, and so I'm probably gonna check that one out, because somebody said that creator makes some really good shit, so I'm gonna be checking that out. And if you guys got any manga or animes, or hell, even hentai, I don't give a shit. If you got some good shit that you guys want to recommend to me to get started on a new series, please send it my way, because I'm gonna definitely be trying to be interested. Plus, with my little nerd on the way, little spaceship juniors on the way, so it'd be cool to have some really cool shit to kind of put him on game too, outside of just all of the stuff that I grew up with, because I know he's not gonna want to be fucking talking about 8-Ball, MJG, and fucking Field Mob, and Travis Porter, and fucking what it used to be like when Lil Jon ran shit all the time. He's not gonna want to think about the first fucking 3 Star Wars. He's not gonna give a shit about how amazing Dragon Ball Z used to be in its heyday. He gonna give a fuck about that shit that's cool right now. And I got time. He's not here yet. Plus, he ain't gonna come out reading and writing and shit. I mean, if he does, oh my god, that would be amazing. We're gonna be rich as fuck. But however, I got time. So you know what I'm saying? We'll be having more, we're going to be weaving even more anime news, just like how we talked about earlier with the space shit and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I definitely want to get back to the pillars of the nerd news update and everything that goes along with that. However, I got to end off the nerd news update with, this it's kind of more like a rant and me kind of summarizing shit. All right, so you over the last year, we've seen a lot of fucking things occurring on the internet and especially the social media netscape, right? First off, you know what I'm saying, this time last year we were talking about how Facebook had to basically revamp all of the shit they had going on, which was great news, which is great news because it does put Facebook back to more family and friend oriented explicit shit that you see when you get on there, which is a good thing. I'm not going to say anything's wrong with that, but as a content creator, I kind of like the wildfire, the wild, wild west that Facebook used to be, you know what I'm saying, where you could just get a lot of engagement on your posts and get exposed to a whole different crowd of people without having to pay for the advertising. But I get that, you know, it's good for their business model. It's good for them as far as how the law is looking all up in their assholes right now. And it is actually good for family and friends. Because now when I do get on Facebook, I really do only be seeing like if I see something from another content creator, it's because like one of my friends or a family member posted that shit of their own free will, and then just kind of scroll into my feed without me really asking for that shit. So I you know, it has its pros and cons. But that was Facebook. And then, you know, like 3/4 of the way through the year, Instagram announced that it's going to be taking away all the likes, which that hasn't, you know, come into full effect yet on everywhere, because I guess, you know, with it being such a huge user base, it'll take a minute before it's all the way instituted like it's going to be eventually. But then we also got YouTube with the whole COPA shit going on, like them changing like how they want your, you know, what content's able to be monetized, and you know what I'm saying, what's safe for children and shit like that. And then, you know, they're going to be actually finding content creators for this shit. You know what I'm saying? So people are going to be scared of not knowing what to categorize their shit. And the thing is, everything is so vague when they're saying these are the things that violated. It's just like, as a content creator, I'm looking like what the fuck, bitch? Did you just say bright colors could be considered something that would be geared towards children, even though I said this is geared towards children? Like, that's why everything I've made since I turned 18, and y'all could check my track record on this shit. Everything I put out, even if I only say like one cuss word, I put explicit on everything I make. From the time I was 18, even on my old, all my YouTube channels, I've had multiple. I'm on my new one now. Make sure you guys subscribe to that shit if you haven't yet. I need a fucking URL, and I need my subscriber count and my view count up, like, and my view time, watch time up like crazy. So if you guys want to help me out on that shit, feel fucking free. And search Space Vlog 1, number 1, like hashtag 1, but not hashtag like number 1. If you want to get started on that. But anyway, that was just shameless self plug. But I digressed. Like with all that going on, and then on top of all that, right at the tail end of the year, Twitter saying, and then keep in mind, a lot of the shit that I just said is all supposed to go in effect today. Like January 1st, today, as of the time this episode comes out, all these things are kind of supposed to already be in effect. But, you know, like I said earlier, some of this shit just takes time for it to reach the entire website. But at the tail end of the year, Twitter announced that it's going to be putting a ban on all explicit content. And I'm sitting here like, didn't y'all fucking learn y'all lesson from Tumblr? Like, cause that was another thing that happened. Tumblr did that in the middle of the year. Like, they just banned all the pornographic material. And when I tell you, I've never seen a fucking mass exodus. Like, even MySpace didn't have such a swift jumping of ships like Tumblr did when they like legit like ban all the not safe for work content. And like, here's the thing, on Tumblr, things still kind of do get slipped through the cracks. However, it is nothing like it used to be. Like I scroll down Tumblr now and I just see, this has been removed for sensitive content. This has been removed for sensitive content. This is blah, 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 blah. And then every now and then, you know, somebody still slips some shit through, and it, you know what I'm saying, it's still, but it's not the same. And I feel like Twitter's going to be the same way. And then, like, here's the thing. When Tumblr did that shit, everybody from Tumblr, most of the people went back to Twitter. Most of them were people who used to be heavy on Twitter, and then they jumped over to Tumblr and they started getting a better following because Tumblr wasn't as fucking crowded. And now you can't, like, and because of that vague shit, sometimes shit that doesn't even fall into the category gets banned. Which is, I feel like this is going to be the same thing that happens on YouTube with the way that they're structuring this shit too. And now with Twitter saying the same thing, I feel like it's going to be a bunch of people with like suspended accounts when this shit has been perfectly fine for so long. Like, that was the thing that kind of made Twitter cool. Like, it stayed OG with this shit. Like, it always let you still watch explicit content. You only, like, here's the thing, bro. When you on Twitter, hell, when you're on any of these social media sites, most of the time you're not gonna see porn on your timeline unless you're following people who produce or post or repost content like that. When you follow somebody, generally you already have an idea of the kind of shit that they say, whether it's because you know them in person or because you scroll down their feed, looked at a pretty good random sampling of the kind of shit they say, the kind of shit they post, and the kind of shit they do and then talk about doing on the internet. You got a pretty good idea of what's to come. Now, yes, every now and then somebody may post something that's a little bit pornographic unexpectedly. And yeah, that does happen because some people, every now and then there is something kind of pornographic that they might just feel like posting just out of the fact of it's a conversation starter. You know what I'm saying? It's a topic piece. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you see some weird shit. It's a little explicit, but hey, most of the people on your timeline, once again, kind of know that that's the kind of shit you post from time to time, and then people who don't like that shit they just unfollow you. So people who feel like there should be a ban on this type of shit on the internet in general, because that's where this shit is moving towards, people. That's where this shit is moving towards, because it's starting with the social media sites. But then they're going to use the same reasoning to decide that they should be able to control, like figure out a way to put gates on whole websites and shit like that for producing this kind of content, because in all honesty, the government does not feel like people have the ability to make those kind of decisions for themselves. That's what I honestly believe. I think that they're going to try to censor the whole internet, and then they're going to, you know what I'm saying, this shit is going to be like way less. It's not going to be as free as it used to be. Like, I don't see the point in banning. Like, I get on Facebook, because Facebook has a big family like element to it. Like your grandma, like there's a huge chance that your mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle, cousins are all on Facebook. However, there's a lot less chance that those same folks are on Twitter. And if they are, niggas know the game, bruh. When you on Facebook, that's like a mini family reunion. It's like the cookout. You don't be posting twerk videos on your Facebook unless everyone in your family has the type of women that post twerk videos on Facebook. But even then, only y'all see those twerk videos. You see what I'm saying? However, when you get on Twitter, you know what the deal is, man. It's kind of like being at the club. It's more social. And then like, here's the thing. Like, Facebook is kind of like your neighborhood, right? Instagram is kind of like the mall or that restaurant that a lot of people like eating at that's really, really popular. Twitter is like the club. It's like it's the late night. It's, you know what I'm saying? That's where the grown folks come to hang out at. We talk shit on Twitter because we don't feel this free to do that on Facebook. And then, you know what I'm saying? So now when y'all start banning shit like that on Twitter, all those people, like all those people are gonna go somewhere. There's gonna be, I'm afraid that Twitter's gonna have that mass exodus like Tumblr did, and it's not gonna be the same. And I don't want that to happen to Twitter because it's one of my favorite social media sites, as well as the fact it's OG, bruh. Like, keep in mind, Twitter is the only, like, when I say it's OG, it's original. Like, when Twitter came out, every other website copied it immediately. If you guys were there during the MySpace era like I was, y'all remember the day that you got on your MySpace page, you logged in, and for the first time you had the ability to post a status. A status post is nothing but a fucking tweet, which is a microblog on another website that ain't Twitter, so they can't call it tweets. But that's all it is. Every website copied that shit afterwards. And guess what? Twitter stayed gangster with that shit because as all these other social media sites came out, they never really changed up what the fuck they was trying to do to match that shit. You don't get on Twitter and see a bunch of fucking, like, stories at the top of your page. Like, that shit's cool on Instagram and it's cool on Facebook. And, you know, of course, they all stole it from Snapchat, so it's cool with that. But at the, you know, because that's why a lot of people still fuck with Snapchat now, because the originality of that shit came from that website or that app. But all in all, like, it didn't start trying to copy other websites in order to stay relevant like Facebook did. Like, Facebook came out and it took over the game, but it ended up copying other websites, you know, the shit from other social media sites in order to stay relevant. And even Instagram, you know, with the advent of their stories, just like on Facebook, they stole that shit from Snapchat. But you don't get on there, you don't get on Twitter and see that shit at the top of the page, because Twitter know they don't have to do that shit. They OG. Like, and you know what I'm saying? That would be too much for Twitter anyway. I don't want to get on my Twitter page and have like a mile-long news feed as is, and then a whole other fucking bar at the top with a bunch of stories that, you know what I'm saying, it's just a bunch of irrelevant ass shit, because we don't need stories on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Instagram has got its own little structure going on. Facebook's got its own little structure going on. Twitter is for the free spirits of the world. You know what I'm saying? So putting those kind of restrictions on a site like Twitter just doesn't seem like a great idea, especially if they want to keep the site going as strong as it is. Because dollars and dimes, like however you want to look at it, a lot of the time when you look at the news and TV and other shit, when people want to look for the official word of like the type of celebrity that's had a long standing like track record, any real solidified celebrities, they look at their tweets. Like, I don't care what the fuck goes, like a lot of shit goes on Instagram, but you got to do some real wild shit for something on your Instagram to go viral, versus your tweet can go viral a lot faster because people see that as a more so of an official word. You know what I mean? But I guess with all of those changes, you know, today is supposed to be day one to all of those starts. So I guess, you know what I'm saying, over time, we will end up seeing the effects of all of those things. And I do believe that concludes our Nerd News update for today. We're going to get into a little short topic coming up about New Year's resolutions. But before that, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of Urban Nerd Weekly. We have our first two official sponsors. So I would love to shout out Sweet K's Cakery. Make sure you hit them up on Instagram at sweet_K's_cakery. And y'all can check out a lot of samples of the type of cake pops, cupcakes, cakes. I believe she's made donuts before. She'll make anything that you ask. She'll bake anything, but you get a good idea of, you know, she has great use of fondant and sprinkles and all kind of great stuff. And she is amazing if you got a kid's party, especially if you got to slap a kid's party together in like 2 weeks or some shit like that, because your money be looking funny. You got to wait till you get your check to see what you could do type shit. Sweet K's Cakery is your motherfucking move, bro. So make sure y'all slide on over there and see what's going on. Also, our other sponsor, Creative Customs. They make a lot of custom apparel and clothing. So you get like vests, shirts, hoodies, pants, jogging pants, shorts, fucking joggers, fucking jeans, like shoes, chucks, bags, purses, watches, whatever the fuck you could think of when you trying to get that shit fresh and you want a custom, like you want that shit custom made, like custom, like you could even buy your own shit and then have, you know, Creative Customs customize it for you if you want to, if that's the type of shit you're looking for. But either way it goes, Creative Customs, and it's spelled KRE, the letter 8, TIV, Customs. And it's spelled just like that on Instagram as well. And y'all can go over there and check out, like when I say whatever you want, bro, I'm talking about you got Louis purse and you want get that shit with your name inside the purse. I don't give a fuck, nigga. You want a keychain hanging out of your backpack. Whatever you want, bro. Creative Custom got that pack for you. So make sure y'all check them out. We're going to give a shout out to some of the friends of the show as well. We're going to shout out my guy Hitman the Hitmaker with That's Dope. That's his new single. Well, that's his latest single on Spotify, Apple Music, and the video is up on YouTube. So you guys can also follow him on Instagram, Hitman the Hitmaker. That's Hitman D-A Hitmaker, not the. So make sure y'all check out that new single, That's Dope, on Spotify if you got it. And I got fellow comedian, and that's a rapper, in case I needed to clarify that. But my buddy Von Roberts also just dropped his Nightcap EP, and y'all can check that out on Apple, Spotify, and the full 30-minute video version on YouTube as well. My guy dropped a whole comedy special on YouTube. Now that's something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I didn't know how it would go, but y'all definitely check out my guy Von Roberts, because he done inspired the shit out of me. I really feel like a lot of niggas about to be like biting his swag right now and try to drop YouTube comedy specials, and I just wanted to say here first, I thought about it before and I was afraid, and I'm admitting that being afraid to try that is probably gonna, you know what I'm saying, it hindered me into somebody being able to say they did it first. But my guy Bun Roberts, this is a legit comedy special he dropped on YouTube. And it's an EP, so you can get it on Apple Music and on Spotify as well. You can stream that shit, and you could download that motherfucker on iTunes, even though it ain't technically supposed to be called iTunes or the fuck anymore. But definitely check him out. My guy Von Roberts from out there in Cali, man. Hey, what up, Von? If you're checking out this episode, man, I love the special, dog. Make sure y'all keep pushing that shit. And when y'all come to the city, man, when y'all hit the A, make sure y'all call your boy up. But on to today's topic is New Year's resolutions. What are you guys' New Year's resolutions? I know a lot of people make New Year's resolutions every year, and then it's so difficult that to get everyone to like follow through on those resolutions and shit. So, you know what I'm saying? I just want to know, like, what are your guys' resolutions? My resolutions, well, first I'd like to say last year, my New Year's resolution was to stay consistent with the output of content. And I feel like I did a really good job of that last year. I only missed a couple of episodes of Urban Nerd Weekly. I actually dropped videos I dropped videos like half the year last year. We'll be improving that this year. But once I did start dropping videos, I stayed consistent in dropping the videos once I finally got out to it. So this year, my New Year's resolution is to procrastinate less, because I feel like procrastination has stopped me from producing the quantity and the quality of content that I want. Like, now that I've gotten back on the wagon of getting the content out here, I want to, improve all my content quality as usual. But I want to stop procrastinating. Like, procrastination has been like a really bad habit of mine for a very long time. Like, one time I was on Twitter and somebody posted up a tweet that said, all right, let's keep it real 100 right now. What is your toxic trait? And immediately mine was like procrastination. I'm the worst fucking procrastinator, bro. Like, I'm one of those people, like, I've known since last week I had to be to work at 4 o'clock. And for whatever reason, when Thursday at 4 o'clock is 2 hours away, I start scrambling for work like I didn't know that's what time I had to be there. And it's even goes for the podcast. Sometimes I start working, like looking up and researching the show, and then I let myself get distracted and sidetracked, and then I start procrastinating by watching shit on YouTube, and then my brain even try to get me to like be convinced that I'm constructively procrastinating by trying to learn some shit during my procrastination. But yet and still, it just stops me from being as productive as I'd like to be. So my New Year's resolution is to kick procrastination, and I also would like to decrease the amount of Red Bull that I buy and consume, because I love caffeine. I'm a caffeine addict. That's no big surprise. However, you know, buying and drinking as much Red Bull, particularly as I drink, isn't as good for your heart, because every can of Red Bull is like a cup and a half of coffee, and you know, it's expensive. It's expensive. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to drink less Red Bull, and I'm gonna say this out loud just because I want you guys to help hold me accountable. But I'm trying to quit smoking cigarettes this year. I'm not making it. I was going to make it a New Year's resolution, but I'm not making it a New Year's resolution because I feel like that puts so much fucking pressure on me to quit smoking cigarettes, which makes me want to smoke cigarettes. I hate that I smoke cigarettes. I don't think I've ever even actually said that I smoke cigarettes on any piece of content before, because I'm not like proud of it or anything. And plus, I got like, you know, nieces and nephews that I've been finding out be watching my content, and as explicit, like as much cursing as I do, you guys would think I wouldn't want them to hear that, but I come from my family, so these people have heard me talk already. But I don't want them to see me like smoking cigarettes and shit. I think that sets a really bad example. It makes it okay for the younger generation when they see you smoke a cigarette, because it really does. Like when I was younger, I seen a ton of people smoke cigarettes, and I know it's bad for you, but it just like the visual makes it easier to do. I know it's crazy, but it's a part of the addiction. So I'm trying to kick cigarettes this year. I want to take the entire year to quit smoking. So, like, even if I do really good for a couple of months and fuck up, I'd like to be able to say I'm finally done by this time next year. So those are my New Year's resolutions. And of course, one of my big New Year's resolutions is to elevate the show even more. You guys probably heard me talk a lot of Cash Money shit at the end of last season about all the improvements I was going to make. I've never lived away from my parents before, so this is the first time I've ever had to financially juggle myself around Christmas time. Usually I could just splurge because I lived with my parents, so I could just buy everybody Christmas gifts and this, that, and the third. And I always used to do a lot of my online content money I used to spend this year, like as far as my domains and my accounts and like SoundCloud and like all the different little services I pay for online. I usually pay for all that stuff as like a Christmas present to myself. However, I wasn't able to do that this year. As a matter of fact, a quick announcement about my website, spacewashere.com. If you guys haven't heard me talk about it much, it's because my domain is kind of down right now. I haven't been able to renew it. And it's going to be a good little second before I'm able to hop back on there. But you guys can definitely still catch me on social media like I was saying earlier. And you know what I'm saying, by the time I get the website up, hopefully I'll get some nice little improvements on there to make it worth the fact that it was down for a little bit. I've been doing a pretty good record of this. Like for the last 4 years straight, my site stayed up except for maybe like those 2 days that one time. But I didn't even know that was when it was time for the renewal because I had been working so much I never saw none of the emails that they sent me. But this time I totally fucking knew, and I was really hoping I was going to be able to pull it all together, but you know, with all the new stuff I got going on in my life, I got to prioritize here versus there. So, but trust me, you guys, I'm going to be on Spotify. SpaceWasHere.com is going to be up, and I'm going to be dropping even more content than I was last year. So you guys just keep riding with me, riding with us, ride with the show. Urban Nerd Weekly is actually growing, and I want to help it grow some more. And if you do too, hit me up, man. We're actually looking for a team to help us out with the growth of the show. We're looking for bloggers, people that like to blog, people that just like, if you just one of the people that like to sit on social media and post memes all day, we're looking for one of those. We're looking for somebody to kind of manage the social media Facebook page especially, and that person will also be the one that kind of helps us in designing and building and launching the official website for Urban Nerd Weekly, which is another Urban Nerd Weekly New Year's resolution. We're actually going to have a site. I usually just kind of tell you guys come on over to spacewashere.com, but A, it's down, and B, even when it comes back up, I kind of want to pivot spacewashere.com because it's kind of my website, so I don't want to make you guys have to come and see all of my other shit when you're just looking for the podcast, unless you want to see all of my other stuff. So we're going to be coming out with the Urban Nerd Weekly podcast page, as well as a Twitter account. We're gonna be, the show is gonna be elevated in so many different ways, guys. Just make sure you stay tuned in, make sure you stay nerded out, and I thank everybody for the journey thus far, guys. This is season 5. I never made it this far with any of my other things that I was doing. Like, this is the 5th season of this podcast, and I'm so excited to be starting it. And because I've had like 8 different podcasts before. And of course, the dreaded pod fading. You know what I'm saying? The pod, fade when you do like, you get really excited and do like 8 episodes of a show. And then after that, like, shit starts setting in and you can't, you either can't do the show, you don't do the show, don't want to do the show, you lose your motivation or whatever. Some people just run out of creative juice after a couple of episodes of the podcast and you don't really know, where to go from there. And I've had a couple of those podcasts. I've had a couple of YouTube channels that I've done the same thing with. But as it is new, especially since the new decade has began, Space was here all official, trying to be like the referee whistle right now. So, I definitely am going to be taking this year to put in all of the final building blocks to, as far as my personal brand as Space was here and the show as a whole, as well as everybody on the team that's fucking with the campaign. Like, Y'all about to see so much growth coming from this direction. It's about to be crazy, especially since a lot of you are about to be part of it. So I thank you guys, like I said, for tuning in and nerding out. Appreciate the listen, man. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't. We love you guys from Urban Nerd Weekly headquarters. Happy New Year and much peace and many blessings to you all. My name is Space. See, because I was here, but now I'm